Good morning. Happy Friday. Morning, Deb and Dora and Susan. Um, End of the week. Cooler weather's back. Yesterday was very humid. Um, but I think we're going to have pretty crisp weather for a while anyway. I saw yesterday it said it was supposed to be 45 tonight. So if you have anything outside, you might want to bring it in. I have a lemon tree that I think I'm going to have to bring inside. Um, that's probably, it might be okay for one night, but I think it's going to be, 3 or 4 that we're going to have that cold. So now I got to figure out where to put the lemon tree. I did put it in the garage last year, but it lost a lot of leaves and it made it, but it didn't look hot. So I think I'm going to try to find some place inside. But the thing they don't tell you about lemon trees, right? They're very beautiful. And you know the song? Lemon tree, very pretty. And the lemon flower is sweet. Indeed, it is. Um, but the sweet flower attracts gigantic spiders. I can only imagine what they must be like in Florida, Susan. I can't even imagine. But in Delaware, the spiders live in the tree. They get in there and build a nest, and yeah. So that's why it was in the garage last year. My husband says he will de-spider the tree for me, and then I can bring it inside. So we'll see how that goes. I am a lover of all creatures, but I don't like to get near some of them, primarily spiders. That is uh, an old fear. When I was a child, we lived in a very old house um, with a lot of spiders, and I can still remember being kind of spooked by that. Now, as I got older and had children of my own, I had to become, more fearless around spiders. But I still prefer to have my husband deal with them if possible. But the worst, and he's very good about it because the worst spider situation I can remember is his boat. We had a boat for a while, and it was out on a mooring out in the Bohemia River, like a ways from shore, um, and it would be covered with spiders. I don't know how they got there. They would like fly, or actually they did. They would cast. They like cast up a little web, and then they float, which is a terrifying idea right there. But you would go there, and they would just have built all kinds of structures all over the railings and all over everything, and nah, it's not great. So, yeah, if you ever have a boat, probably get a slip, get a place next to shore, because then there's lots of places for the spiders to go. When you have when you're out in the middle of the water, they're only going to go to your space. So, not great. But just like everything else, everything wants to live. Everything is just trying to find a way to live. And the spiders, um, that's my lemon tree is their best option to get something tasty. And I understand that, but I don't love it. So hopefully my husband will humanely relocate all spiders. We'll see. But yeah, that's when the lemon tree comes in, then we know fall is upon us. We're getting we're getting on towards there. So change of season is always good, right? We're going to need to think about what you need to do, right? Maybe to get ready for the winter. There's always some things to do outside. And this is going to be a different year, right? Um, we've probably spent more time doing things outdoors um, this season because indoor things haven't been so safe. Um, and I guess it will continue to be like that for a while. So, um, trying to figure out how to be outdoors more, even in the weather. Um, so get a good coat this year and some boots, so you can still be walking outdoors and doing things outdoors, even if the weather is turning cold. Um, I think it'll be important this year more than maybe some others, because again, um, that outdoors area is great, and I kind of love that. I mean, I can sort of remember. I don't know if we talked about it in our class. I think maybe we did, but I know I talked about it a lot in my other classes. This idea of um, and this was, of course, pre-pandemic and everything. I read an article about how, I mean, they have sort of a name for it. I can't exactly remember the name, but the idea that we are had become an indoor society, that everything that we generally did was indoors and in climate controlled areas, and that um, people actually were getting ailments as a result of that, right? People with vitamin D deficiencies, um, people who um, end up with like multiple, what do they call it? Like multiple sensitivities to different things. So, not having been outside, they may develop allergies to things that are outdoors or to the things that they've been surrounded with indoors, right? Because this idea that we are in a sort of an enclosed space without ventilation, windows, um, and some people will get sensitivity to like carpet, the fibers or the, um, like synthetic. So synthetic carpeting gives off an odor, gives off some like off gassing from the petroleum products. Some people get sensitive to that. Um, and I mean, it all kind of boils down to this idea that we aren't meant to be indoors. Uh, we, over millions of years evolved outdoors, with only brief, indoor sheltering. And we've really flipped that on its head, right? We've become, we are indoor, and except for our brief, you know, movements from climate controlled house to climate controlled car and climate controlled building back and forth. Um, and that this is clearly not the healthiest. Um, it isn't. Uh, it isn't great, right? It reduces our ability to tolerate the changes in temperature. And I believe, so the article also was talking about how they're finding that there is some benefit to that, this resilience that we build from dealing with hot weather, dealing with cold weather. When we never change, we set our thermostat at 70 or something, I don't know, and we're staying at that temperature constantly, we are actually missing something that is helpful to our immune system, helpful to our body altogether. So don't be afraid to get hot and to get cold. um, we are meant to do that, right? Our bodies are designed for that. um, it seems like the easier we try to make things for ourselves, the harder it turns out, right? Um, we aren't glass, we aren't as fragile as maybe we feel like we are. We are really very resourceful and resilient. Our bodies can adjust to a lot of things. And there is evidence that we are designed to do that. And when we don't do that, it's actually detrimental. So um, get outside, even when it gets cold, even, if the weather isn't the best. Getting outside in nature, seeing things, there's an intrinsic value to that I think we have forgotten about in large part. Um, you can't just, I think it reminds me kind of this idea where we take wild animals and put them in a zoo. So we can do that, right? But if you know anything about animals in a zoo, you'll know that they don't really thrive there. They survive, and sometimes they reproduce, and they make a life for themselves, but they are kind of a pale shadow of what they would have been in the wild. We might be able to extend their life, right? A lot of times zoo animals do live a lot longer than animals in the wild. But is it a great life? I would say no. And I think, we're trying to do better with the zoo animals. And I kind of understand the idea of having animals in a zoo, but we can see um, it's certainly not as good for the animal, right? There may be reasons why we are doing that, but objectively, it is not as healthy for the animal. So think about that when you think about how we have kind of made ourselves enclosures, and we're living indoors in this kind of enclosure that we've built for ourselves. It's not necessarily the healthiest place. Um, so get your windows open, go outside, bring the indoors out, or bring the outdoors in. Get some plants, have some plants, right? Um, do what you can to make your indoors a little more outdoorsy, and you will benefit. We talk about also trying to go with the seasons, right? So um, eating foods that are seasonally produced, um, and eating, with the seasons. So we're going to get into the colder weather. You're going to want to be eating more warm foods, more heavier foods, maybe. Um, Whereas in the summer, we were eating a lot of salad type things and light foods, which is very appropriate for that heat of the weather, right? So you can see, I mean, right? You see where I'm going. When we take ourselves out of the environment, then it doesn't matter, right? We can eat the same thing every day because the day is the same, right? Indoors, it's the same every day. Um, the more connected you are to the outdoors and the environment, the more you'll understand, right, the need for this, right? You will really only want light foods in the summer. And in the winter, you will be like, oh yeah, let's eat that warm cooked food. Um, so, um, not everybody, right? And we usually aren't, everybody's on a scale with this. I think the most indoor person I know is my son. He's he loves to be indoors, um, and he works nights, so he's already his body clock is all mixed up. Um, but so he's working all night when it's dark, and then he comes home and sleeps. So he's not really in the sun at all. Um, so that's a boy that could use some vitamin D. Um, but I think most people aren't quite that quite that extreme. Um, but you see, take a look at how you do things, and see, if you feel like maybe you need to bring a little more of the outdoors in. It's a It's not a bad idea. Um, there's nothing wrong with feeling a little hot or a little cold or, um, you know, some bugs, some spiders. I stay away from them, but I see them outdoors and I'm not bothered. Outdoors, they're fine. They can do their thing. I just stay away from them. But if they're indoors, nah, I don't want them indoors. All right. So as you um, move through the practice, keep that sense of environment, being aware of your environment, indoors and outdoors. Um, and just breathe, right? If you feel like you do have a very kind of enclosed environment, um, open a window, right? This is a great day to do that. Admittedly, there are many days in Delaware where the air quality is not great, and probably opening a window isn't going to help you that much. You might be better off staying in the AC. Um, but there's a lot of days when it's nice too. And throughout the winter, you can still have a window open. I know a friend of mine was a exchange student in Germany in high school, and she said her mother, her host mother, would come and open her window every night when she was trying to go to bed. She's like, "What are you doing? Why are you opening the window?" She said, "Well, you've got to have ventilation. You need air. Even in the cold winter, you need some air. So bring in some air, even in the cold weather." All right. So sitting up tall, shoulders back, relaxed, breathing. And chin down toward the chest. Then lifting the head up, keep lifting, chin points up. Back to center, take a breath. Moving the head to the right. Back up and moving head to the left. Back up. Let's walk the hands out in front. And then behind you a little bit, fingers point away from the body. Squeeze the shoulders together, gaze up. And back up to your seat. Bring the arms wide. Take a deep breath, and then on the exhale, we're bringing hands together. Inhale, arms wide. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. One more. Inhale. And exhale. Interlace the fingers, lift the arms high. We're gazing up. And then arms down by your side. Lift. Inhale. Lower on the exhale. Lifting and lowering. Once more. Lift up. Right arm by your side. Reach across with the left. And switch. And back up. Lift the shoulders, roll back. And forward. Right hand on left knee, left arm behind. Sit up tall and then twist. Back to center, switch sides. Inhale and twist. Back to center. Tabletop. Sitting back on the heels. Moving back up to tabletop. Let's swing the right leg around. So we're up on the knee here. Arms high overhead. Maybe lean back a little. And then hands to center. Take a breath in. And a twist. You can hook the elbow here or press against the knee. Staying more upright, pull that right shoulder back. And moving back to center. Right hand down by the foot. Let's lift the left arm. Both hands down to the mat. We'll walk the hands out a little. Leaning in. And then let's walk the foot across. If you want, for pigeon. If you don't, you could stay in lizard, or you could just come back into child's pose. So we've got the foot as close to parallel as we can, but you can bring that foot in closer to the body to make this more accessible. And then we can fold forward. You could rest on the forearms or come all the way down, your choice. Or you could stay up on the hands if it feels a little intense today. Coming back up. Plant your hands here. We're going to flip the back toe. And then lift up. Three-legged dog. You can bend the knee here. You can sort of hang it off to the side. And then set the foot back down. We're in downward dog. And then drop your knees. And let's come back into child's pose. Coming back up, tabletop. Swing that left leg around. So work on the knee here. Arms overhead. Maybe lean back. And then hands to center. Breath in. Moving to the left for your twist. Back to center. Left hand down by the foot. Right arm lifts. And then both hands down, kind of walking out here.
And then let's bring that foot across for pigeon if you want. Get yourself sort of settled here, however it's going to be, and breathe. And then moving back up. Plant your hands, flip that back foot, lifting up. And set the foot back down. Forward high plank. And then lower down. Head turns right, arms by your side. Take a few breaths. Bring your head back to center. Let's set up for Cobra. So we've got tops of the feet resting on the mat. Hands about chest height. Elbows squeeze in close. And then we're going to lift up. Head and chest. Hover the hands. So we're just using the body to lift here. Lower down. Head turns left. Moving your head back to center. Let's flip the palms. And we're going to be lifting up head and chest and the arms and the legs, everything together. and lower down. Bring the arms in front. Rest the chin or the forehead. Moving back up. Tabletop to downward dog. Step the feet up a little and down to your seat. Soles of the feet together. Sitting up tall. Take a deep breath and then fold forward. Coming back up. Bring the knees up and we're going to grab a hold of the toes or the tops of the feet. Leaning back a little. Find your balance. And then maybe some extension. Bend the knees. Setting the feet back down. Deep breath. Legs extend. Arms overhead. Fold forward. Moving back up. Let's flex the feet and then point the toes. But we talked about this yesterday. Don't curl the toes forward. Just point the toes. I should say point the feet, right? The toes kind of flexed. So it's really the ball of the foot that you're pointing with. That will keep you from, hopefully, having any foot cramps. And then we're going to go around, however you want to do it. One direction. And then reversing. then bend your knees, soles of the feet to the mat, lowering down. Getting comfortable. Take a few breaths. We've got knees bent, soles of the feet to the mat, right ankle on top of left knee. And then we're just going to stay here for a couple of breaths. And then moving that left knee down. Let the right foot come along. Back up. Switch your legs. Stay here for a couple of breaths. And then we're lowering the right knee. Back to center. Set both feet down. Maybe bump the knees together and let the feet be to the outer edges of the mat. Take a few breaths. And then let's extend the left leg long. Right leg comes into the chest. We're going to grab a hold behind the knee, behind the thigh. And then we're going to work to extend the leg. So you might just be staying here. If you can catch a hold of the toe or the ankle or something, we can do that. Breathe. If you want to, you can see about extending that leg out to the right. And then bring it back to center. Release the leg down. So if you've got a hold of the toe, this is we do this sometimes, right? When we're doing that standing pose for balance, we're trying to grab the toe and draw that footing close to the body. This is pretty much how it should feel, right? You want to have the foot close to the body, but nice and upright, right? Imagine you're standing. You aren't hunched over like this. You're like this. right? You may be like this, right? That's fine, right? But this is the structure that you want with the body. Release it down. Take a few breaths. So I think a lot of times it can be really helpful to practice your balance poses laying on your back. Um, it gives you time to focus on what everything else is doing without having to worry about the balance, right? So if you aren't exactly sure how your feet should be or where your arms should be, um, try it on your back. And then you'll see like where can I reach? What can I do without, the balance part kind of complicating the whole situation, right? Bend the knee. We're gonna draw it in close. Right leg extends long. And then extending. So if you can hold on to something there, you can. And if you want to extend that to the side, let's see how that goes today. Back to center. Bend the knee again. And again, here we are. That foot drawn in close. And then just release. Extend both legs. Relax for a few breaths on the mat. And bending the knees. Soles of the feet to the mat. We're going to get set up for bridge. So heels are about, or feet are about hip width apart. Heels back close to the body. You can always make this a supported bridge if you want. Just use a block. So hands by your side. We're going to press down, hands and feet, lifting up. Breathe. And then Lowering down. Soles of the feet together, knees apart. Relax and breathe. Maybe bring the arms up over the head if you like. And then we're going to move into Shavasana. So whatever you want to do, extend the legs, or you could lift the legs and lower them down. Ending up laying on your mat in a comfortable position. Breath is steady. Relax and let your body sink down into the mat. So our bodies are strong, much stronger than we may think. Especially as we get older, it's easy to start to feel frail and maybe unable to do some of the things that you used to do. And that may be true, right? You may have lost some body strength, but that doesn't mean your inner strength isn't strong. That doesn't mean that your health is not good. Your body is a remarkable structure, right? You you can heal yourself from so many things. In fact, the only thing that ever heals us is our body, right? We may go to doctors and get medicine. Um, we may get surgery. We may do all of these things to the body. But if the body isn't going to heal itself, you will not get well. Um, the medicines and the surgeries, all these things do what they can to get you in the right state to heal. But the body is what heals. So that is amazing, right? It's just amazing to think that we have this capacity within us. So know your body strength is amazing. um, and keep that, as healthy as you can, right? Eating good food, getting plenty of sleep, um, some exercise, right? To keep the body in good shape, and trying to reduce the stress, right? Letting those things go. Um, Not carrying the weight of the world on our shoulders.
So when you're ready, beginning to move a little, fingers and toes, hands and feet, and getting yourself up to a seat. When you're ready, we'll bring hands together. Breath in and breath out. Thank you so much for joining me for yoga today. I hope you have a beautiful Friday. Namaste. Thank you. We're just finishing class with the bell at the church across the street. I still have never been able to figure out what the deal is with that and the time. Sometimes it rings like 3 minutes before the hour. Sometimes now it looks like it's a couple minutes after. It's a mystery to me when it will happen, but it's fun when it happens right after class. Okay, so moving into meditation. We'll listen to the last few bells of that. It stopped. I wonder what time it thinks it is because I think it only rang a couple of times. There should have been 10, and I think there were much less than 10. So, oh well. All right, so sitting comfortably in a seat, on a cushion, whatever you want. Nice and upright, shoulders relaxed. Steady breath, close your eyes, find your space of calm inside. Coming back now, opening the eyes. Breathe a couple of times. And you've done some meditation for today. Great. Okay, so have a good weekend. I will be here tomorrow morning. But yeah, I might see you then or I might not. Have a great Friday. Namaste.